Usually when you look at a map, there is this expectation of permanence. Like, you plan your route, you trust the coordinates, and you just navigate. You assume the ground beneath you is fixed.
Right.
But imagine waking up, pulling out your map, and realizing the tectonic plates have literally shifted overnight. The roads have moved, the boundaries are redrawn, and suddenly you are trying to navigate a completely different, highly volatile terrain.
It is the absolute definition of flying blind. And, looking at the global landscape right now, from macroeconomics to orbital warfare, the old maps simply do not apply anymore. We are mapping a new reality in real time.
Welcome to AI Podcast. Today we'll discuss the most important current affairs from the Hindu 2 June 2026 edition with detailed analysis for UPSC aspirants. Your comments and feedback help us improve and create better content for aspirants every day. Thank you for supporting AI Podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in.
So today we are taking a massive stack of sources from today's news and distilling the absolute most critical insights for you. Whether you are prepping for an exam, heading into a policy meeting, or just want to be the smartest person in the room, this is the deep dive you need.
Yeah, and looking at today's sources, there's a very clear theme. They show a world in the middle of massive structural shifts, from how we measure the economy, down to human biology, all the way to how we secure outer space.
Let's actually start with that economic baseline, because to understand the world today, we have to start with how we measure the economy, and more importantly, what's actually keeping it afloat.
Right.
So the sources highlight a major statistical update. The Index of Industrial Production, the IIP, its base year, has been revised from 2011-12 all the way up to 2022-23.
Which is a huge jump.
It really is. And under this new baseline, April 2026 growth was clocked at 4.9%. The basket of goods they track is way more granular now, jumping from 839 to 1,042 products. They even include things like water, sewerage, and waste management now.
Yeah, and so what here is crucial, that better granularity gives us a much sharper picture of a shifting manufacturing landscape, which makes up about 75% of that basket.
Right.
If you measure a 2026 economy using a 2011 ruler, you are basically capturing a ghost economy. You miss the explosion of things like electronics assembly or green tech.
It's like upgrading the resolution on your camera to see the economy better. But, while we get a clearer picture of domestic production, the actual invisible safety net holding our economy up is coming from abroad.
Oh, absolutely. The current account deficit.
Exactly. I mean, the rupee has dropped 12% against the USD since May 2025. Foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment are both falling. Yet the deficit isn't spiraling. And the sources point to one unsung hero, which is remittances.
Remittances are the absolute anchor right now. India receives about $138 billion in remittances, which is roughly 3% of our GDP.
Wow, $138 billion.
Yeah. And unlike foreign investments like FPI or FDI, which can just halt suddenly if global interest rates change, and they create future liabilities when profits are sent back, remittances are stable.
Because they're driven by diaspora families sending money home.
Exactly. They are unilateral transfers. They effectively finance the entirety of India's trade deficit without demanding dividends.
So we are measuring the economy with more precision and relying on human capital abroad to stabilize it. But then we are also seeing a massive paradoxical shift in the baseline of human health and biology right here at home.
The NFHS 6 data.
Yes, the National Family Health Survey 6. And on the surface, there's a lot of good news. Stunting is down 17%, severe wasting is down 32%, institutional deliveries are over 90%, and the total fertility rate has stabilized at 2.0.
Which is a massive generational victory for basic public health infrastructure. We are finally beating those fundamental survival threats.
Right, but there is a flip side in the data. Obesity is climbing rapidly up to 27.3% for men and 30.7% for women. And even more concerning, exclusive breastfeeding under 6 months actually dropped from 63.7% to 55.8%.
Yeah, that drop in breastfeeding is heavily tied to rapid urbanization. Mothers entering the workforce without mandated creche facilities or paid leave means relying on formula becomes a structural necessity.
That makes sense.
And public health experts call this the dual public health burden. We are beating the historical threats of undernutrition, but immediately losing ground to lifestyle diseases as we become a grayer nation.
It's a bizarre paradox, isn't it? On one hand, we are struggling to get people to eat healthy or breastfeed, but on the other hand, according to our sources on synthetic biology, we are literally learning to rewrite the book of life.
It is a stark contrast. For the first time in 4 billion years, humans are moving from just reading DNA to actually writing it.
Wait, really? Writing it?
Yes, we're using big data to map entire cellular environments. Take a hereditary condition like phenylketonuria or PKU.
That's where you can't break down a certain amino acid, right?
Exactly, which leads to severe neurological damage. Traditionally, that meant lifelong draconian dietary restrictions. But synthetic biology allows us to engineer probiotics or synthesize specific enzymes that act within the gut to manage it before it even enters the bloodstream.
That is incredible. We are essentially installing a software patch for a hardware failure in the human body.
A software patch that operates at the molecular level, yeah.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, this tension between rapid technological progress and basic human consequences requires serious oversight.
Right, and that exactly is what the legal system is having to navigate. The courts have to step in where technology outpaces the law. And looking at the legal landscape, we have a brief institutional update. The center just cleared 5 new judges for the Supreme Court under Article 1242.
Bringing the total strength to 37, right?
Yep, just one shy of the 38 sanctioned. And just to be clear for our listeners, we are just stating the administrative facts here, but having a court at that capacity is a big deal.
It is, because a robust court is necessary for landmark rulings, like the recent Delhi High Court framework on the right to be forgotten.
Oh, this one is fascinating. Because the internet is basically like an elephant that never forgets, but this ruling essentially gives you a digital eraser.
A digital eraser is a good way to put it. The court ruled that this right flows directly from Article 21, which is the right to privacy.
So how does it actually work? Does the record just vanish?
No, it doesn't destroy the public record. It allows for the de-indexing of judicial records from search engines when they no longer serve a public purpose.
Like a past acquittal or a settled civil dispute.
Exactly. The physical and internal digital archives remain, but it prevents disproportionate harm to a person's life prospects. So a past mistake doesn't show up on a Google search when you apply for a job.
So the courts help us clean up our digital environment, but honestly, our physical environment is literally choking us. And the sources show it's starting to directly impact our international trade.
You're talking about the summer air pollution dynamics.
Yeah. We usually think of winter PM 2.5 smog in places like Delhi, the crop burning. But summer pollution is totally different. It's driven by PM 10 from West Asia and the Thar Desert Lu winds.
And ozone. People forget about ground-level ozone.
Right.
Ozone isn't emitted directly from a tailpipe. It forms when extreme heat and strong sunlight react with nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds like from vehicle exhaust and industrial solvents.
So the sun is basically baking our industrial emissions into a toxic layer of ozone.
Exactly, which requires year-round management now, like the BMC's dust control system in Mumbai.
But here is a specific pushback on this. So the sun baking our emissions into ozone is a massive local crisis. But isn't this exact same industrial pollution about to hit us financially on the global stage with the UK trade deal?
Yes, the connection there is absolute. UK Minister Chris Bryant is visiting to discuss the India-UK Free Trade Agreement and the major sticking points, the UK's steel safeguard measures and the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM.
CBAM. That's the carbon tax, right?
Right. Essentially, European nations are pricing carbon domestically. So if India doesn't manage its industrial emissions, its exports will be penalized by foreign carbon taxes at the border to level the playing field.
Wow. So trade isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's deeply entangled with our environmental policy. And honestly, it's also entangled with physical security and regional conflicts.
Absolutely.
Looking at our immediate borders, the sources detail the recent India-Myanmar bilateral talks between PM Modi and President Lang. And again, strictly looking at the facts provided, the issues are intense.
Border security, Northeast insurgents.
Yeah, the detention of Aung San Suu Kyi and these massive cyber scam centers.
Yeah.
India actually had to airlift 2,411 workers out of those scam compounds. Plus, critical infrastructure like the Trilateral Highway is delayed by the conflict.
And when you zoom out to the macro trade picture, that regional instability is forcing India to rethink all global transit. Look at the war in the Middle East. It has severely disrupted the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor.
IMEC, right, which was designed to bypass the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly. IMEC relies on 3 legs.
Yeah.
A sea link to the UAE, a rail network across to Israel, and then sea to Europe. But with the current disruptions, we now need flexible alternatives, like looking at ports in Oman or Egypt.
It feels like a global game of Monopoly. We are trying to build new railroads like IMEC to move our pieces safely, But China already owns all the most valuable utilities on the board, which is the rare earths.
That is a perfect analogy. China's monopoly on rare earths is a massive strategic vulnerability. They have 40 specialist labs, 11 universities dedicated to teaching this, and they produce over 90% of the world's processed rare earths and high-strength magnets.
90%.
Yes. The West basically lost this expertise in the 90s because processing rare earths is environmentally devastating. They outsourced the pollution, and in doing so, lost the technical expertise.
Leaving a massive vulnerability for everything from EVs to fighter jets. And because of these supply chain monopolies and geopolitical tensions, hard military power is rapidly scaling up, not just in the skies, but moving directly into outer space.
The transition from atmospheric to orbital defense is happening right now.
Yeah. The immediate hard power move highlighted is Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh in France to secure a 3.25 lakh crore rupee deal for 114 Rafale fighter jets. The letter of request is officially issued.
Which is vital for securing the air. But while we secure the atmosphere, China is actively preparing for orbital war.
Orbital war!
Yes. China has direct ascent anti-satellite missiles, blinding lasers, and co-orbital systems that can physically grapple and dislodge other satellites.
Okay, wait, I have a pointed question here. We are spending 3.25 lakh crore on fighter jets, but if China targets our GPS and communication satellites in the first 48 hours of a conflict, won't those jets just be flying blind? Are we fighting yesterday's war?
That is a highly valid concern, and military planners know it. India has only about 60 satellites compared to China's 400-plus military satellites.
Wow, 60 versus 400?
Right, so a massive, expensive geostationary satellite is basically a sitting duck. India desperately needs redundancy. We need to build smaller constellations, disaggregating our networks into low Earth orbit, and form data-sharing partnerships with allies to ensure survivability in space.
So the scope of this deep dive today has been absolutely massive. I mean, we started at the micro level of cellular biology with synthetic DNA, moved through our economic base years and public health, navigated summer smog and international trade taxes, and ended up in a literal space race.
It's all connected. And, I want to leave the listener with a final provocative thought built from the source material, but not explicitly discussed today.
Go for it.
We've talked extensively about securing our digital rights and securing outer space. But consider the physical cost of our digital future. Right now, Google is planning a hyperscale data center in Vizag.
Okay.
That single facility will require 1 gigawatt of power and 20 million liters of water a day.
Wait, 20 million liters a day?
Every single day.
Yep.
So as we race for digital sovereignty and AI dominance, we have to ask ourselves, are we trading away our most basic environmental security to get there? Something for you to chew on.
That is heavy, but so important. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Your comments and feedback really do keep us going. Keep learning, keep questioning the world around you, and we will catch you next time.